All right, this is Blender tutorial number 6. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're going to be starting our short little project, which I'll talk about in a minute. But before we do that, just a few more tools. I know I keep kind of dragging you along here, but these tools, super important. So the first one I'm going to get into is what's called the loop cut tool. So I tab into edit mode, and it doesn't really matter which mode you're in here. Either face select, edge select, or vertex select. And if I press Control and R, you'll see whichever face loop I put my mouse between, you'll notice that there's this yellow outline. And this is a new edge loop, effectively. This is an edge loop that will exist when we left click. We can increase the number of edge loops that will spawn if we scroll the mouse wheel up or down. You can make this as much as you want to add as much detail as you want. And also for people without middle mouse, you can just type in the number of cuts you want. So I've just done 12 here. But yeah, so this is also a way to add in an edge loop. Before, and this is the way that I recommend doing it. Before we were doing this, right? And then you have this edge loop. Remember, you can select the edge loop by holding down Alt and left clicking on one of the edges in the loop. Before we did the extrusion method to create the loop, but if we do it this way, it will create the loop perfectly in the middle of our shape. So that's perfect. Much quicker, right? And it will be very helpful for our project. Next tool. So we looked at extruding, right? I'm going to select this top face. You all remember this. We extrude up. That happened, right? But we can combine extrude and scale. So what do I mean by that? I don't just mean going like this, right? E and then S. I mean, after you've pressed E and you're still in extrusion mode, press S. And now you'll notice that it's creating new geometry coming outwards from our shape, or also inwards. Again, beware of the negative scaling. You'll see, let me show you that at a better angle. You'll see that will create Z fighting. So avoid that. You may also think that this is creating Z fighting, which you're right, it is. But if we go ahead and left click to apply that, and we grab on the Z, you'll notice that the shape turns out fine, right? So as long as you don't leave it like this, it's okay. The reason there exists Z fighting is because this slanted face loop right here and this big face, when they're just compressed down like this, are fighting for space. So as long as you give them room to breathe, it's not a problem. And yeah, again, we can scale this. I'm going to do Shift Z. And look at this. So we can do extrude scale, grab it up, and it's almost like a pillar shape, you know? Extrude scale, lift this up. Yeah, nice little ramp. We can check our face orientation, go up to the two circles, the arrow drop down, click face orientation. You'll see that's all good, just because we did our scaling right. No negative scaling. And yeah, we can change how this looks. If we want this to look smoother, we can right click while in object mode, just anywhere on the screen in the 3D viewport, and go to click shade smooth. This might look pretty bad. The reason why is it's kind of set to an overkill setting by default. So if we want to get a less intense setting, go to shade auto smooth, and that's a much nicer curve. And if you want to adjust it more, you can go over to these three dots right here in what's called the editor type window. So if you go over to these three dots under data, go to normals, and we have auto smooth checked because remember we selected it here. We can adjust this to change the intensity. I'm just going to leave it at the 30 because it looks pretty good. So yeah, a nice smooth kind of shape here. And whatever smoothness you apply, like this with the shading, will carry over to the game engine. There was also this extruding inward, right? And if we do that and apply it, and we grab on the Z, we're going to we've effectively created 5 total faces, but 4 new faces on the outside of the shape. A quicker way that we can do this is if we press I. This is the inset tool, and so it's basically just extruding inwards, but with only one press of one button. So just a little bit more efficient. But yeah, this almost looks like a little chimney shape. And again, if we want to make this a little more defined, we could add some edge loops, Control R, and add 2. So I scroll the wheel up or click 2, press Enter. And then if I want these to remain exactly in the center, it's asking me to move them right now. If I wanted them to just remain in the center, I would right click to just lock them to this position that they spawned in. So now I can hold down Alt and in edge select mode, select these loops and scale, Shift Z. I don't want to scale on the Z. And we can kind of move these around. Also, remember we can press GG to edge slide if we do want to move these without changing the shape of our object. I'm going to scale this, Shift Z a little bit, just to create more of an interesting shape. Right? There we go. Kind of looks like a chimney. We can inset this and then extrude downward, make a little hole. Again, Shift Z will show us in wireframe what we're looking at. And as long as this face, or the bottom part of this, doesn't go through this, we're totally good. And yeah, little chimney. So that is insetting, that is extruding, and combining it with scaling. Again, I will just show you what that looks like. You extrude, and while you're still in the extrude menu, you'll know because it'll show the value in the top left corner going up and down, and while your shape will be changing too as you move your mouse. Click S to start scaling, and then unlock it. Just drag it upward, extrude scale, grab it up, extrude scale, drag it up. All kinds of shape, right? And then we could rotate X 180 degrees to flip it around. And then we could inset, grab the Z a little bit. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to press 1 so we can see it from the side. Also remember you use the tilde and go to where it says front view, Shift Z, and now we can see it from the side. So we can grab this up a little bit just to make sure that we're not, oh, I can't see it from this angle, just to make sure that we're not intersecting any of our geometry. And yeah, now it's like a little lamp, you know, maybe be on a stove or something. Might be a little extreme, so I'm just going to put this back down. But yeah, and then we can scale Shift Z, scale this inward a little bit, and you can see that we already have the tools, you know, kind of to make some interesting models, even just with this default cube. Let's do some more. We have the cube. We can go into edit mode, Control R to put this edge loop in, left click, right click to leave it in the middle, go to edge select mode, select the top edge, grab Z, and we've got a house shape. This is a little tall, so we select these bottom two faces. Remember, you hold Shift. You hold Shift to add to your selection when you left click. You could grab this up, and perfect. Now it's a more well proportioned. We could also add a little bit of a garage. We could add a loop cut, Control R, left click, right click to leave it in the center. Grab this other face, extrude on the Y, say 1. Oh, that went the wrong way, so -1. And yeah, now we could grab this top edge, grab Z, grab it down, and we've kind of attached like a little garage unit to our house. So super cool, and all this just with the cube. Let's see, let's do some more. We could make kind of like a pillar, like a pedestal, and I'm gonna make 2 edge loops, and then right click. Then I'm going to select the face loop in the middle. Remember, hold down Alt and select one of the vertical edges to select this loop going around the middle. I'm going to scale on the Z so that the faces are bigger in the middle and smaller on the outside. And I'm going to scale Shift Z, and this is going to come in a little bit, right? And then at the top, I'm going to extrude just a little bit. I'm going to do 0.1 so I can get the same value on the bottom. Extrude 0.1. Then we've got our nice little pillar. We can even add more detail, create another edge loop in the middle, scale on the Z a little bit, or scale Shift Z, I should say. The Z won't do anything because this edge loop in itself doesn't actually have any height because it's just flat. And even if we want it to be a little bit more, we want it to be a little more top heavy, we can slide this up and down with GG to edge slide. And yeah, there's a little pedestal. We can make a little pit in the middle, inset, grab Z. Again, Shift Z will show us that in wireframe mode that we're not going over anything, that we're not intersecting our other geometry. I'm gonna add another inset, grab Z, and boom, you could totally put like a torch in here. Another thing I will show you is Shift D, duplicating. So we grab on the Z, grab on the Y, and then we've got two of these things. Shift D, grab on the Y. I'm gonna select these all by holding down Shift. Shift D to duplicate them all, grab on the X. And now we've got like a row of torches, Let's quickly, we should have done this before duplicating, but let's just check our face orientation. All our operations were good, so it's fine. And yeah, now we've got like these 6 little basket things, and it can make a very ominous entrance to something, right? Put some fire in here. And all this just from the cube, right? If we press Shift A and go to our menu, you'll notice there's a plane, a circle, sphere, different kinds of spheres, cylinders, cones, toruses, which are like the donuts, curves. So there's all kinds of shapes to play around with. And yeah, this is all just straight from the default cube. So yeah, I would encourage you to, if that seemed fast, I know that it was, just to kind of go back and watch some of the previous videos. It definitely has been quite fast. But we could make like kind of almost like a Dr. Seuss kind of box. So I'm gonna go into edit mode or machine. You'll kind of see what I mean. Not box, machine. But if I grab on the X, so I go into face select mode with 3, or go up here, click this face, grab X, slide this back a little bit. I'm going to get it near a value I like, and I look up at the numbers, and I see it's around 1.75, so I'm just going to set it with 1.75. Press enter. Now I'm going to inset right here. I like this value, it's around 0.25, so I'm just going to type in 0.25. And I'm going to grab on the X a little bit, bring this out, and this is negative about 0.2, so I'm just going to go with negative 0.2. And I'm going to inset some more. This is about 0.2, which I like, so I'm just going to do 0.2. And I'm just going to extrude this outward, let's say 2. Press enter. Now I'm going to scale. We don't want to change the X. So scale Shift X, because we want to change the length and the width, which are defined on the defined by the Y and the Z axis. As you can see, it goes along the Y and up the Z. So if we scale Shift X, it'll just leave the X alone. So this is like it's like a little leg, almost. I was thinking more of like a chamber, so I'm just going to extrude scale, make it real big. I'm going to grab on the X, and I'm going to extrude. I'm going to go to 3, select this face loop by holding down Alt and clicking this edge right here, one of the horizontal edges, and I'm going to scale Shift X again, and then I'm going to grab the X, and then I'm going to select this edge loop. We're going 2 into edge mode, hold down Alt and left click the edge loop, grab on the X, just make it a little less exaggerated. And yeah, I'm going to rotate X 180. Oh, Y. Oh, not quite. Take some playing around with sometimes 90, not 90. Flip the wrong way, so negative 90. Grab Z, let's do 3. Just to move it up a little bit. Go into edit mode, face select, grab this bottom face, grab Z. Let's do 2. Now it's like a, let's grab it down to negative 0.5. Now it's like a giant like stamp, which is kind of interesting. So I don't know, whole bunch of shapes that we can do just with the cube. Um, yeah, so those are the rest of the tools there, and that's about all of the basic modeling tools, all of the really fundamental modeling tools that you'll need, kind of start your journey. And we're going to be applying that in the next lesson, where we actually will start our project. I promise. Thank you. Take care.